name's Phil Thornton. About a year ago I was asked to do a project by Big Local to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Windmill Hill Estate. Windmill Hill was the last of the new town estates to be constructed by what was the old Development Corporation, and people started moving into the estate in 1978, so it's coming up to 40 years this year. Residents past and present, people who still live on the estate, people who maybe have just moved onto the estate, and ask them what they feel about the place, what's good, what's bad, what they've enjoyed, what's it like growing up on Windmill Hill. And this forms part of a 40-year anniversary event that we're going to have at Norton Priory on the 5th of August 2018, so I hope you enjoy these interviews and it brings back a lot of memories for you. Remember when you moved to Windmill Hill, what year are we talking?
I moved in 79, November 79. It was about a year after us,
weren't you? December, just before Christmas you moved
was
in.
It, yeah.
So you two are neighbours, are you?
Yeah, we've lived together forever.
Yeah, next door to each
other.
Paul was 2 when I moved in.
Yeah. I was 2 when I moved here. I would have been 3 in August, so you must have moved before the August.
No, we moved in not long after you. You moved in to Christmas,
the
next year was 1980.
Yeah.
So you moved in a couple of months before us.
So where did you move from? What?
I moved from Halewood and Paul moved from
Home Street in Topside apparently, so yeah.
And what do you remember about Runcorn? What was different about Runcorn to
it was
Halewood?
There was no shops. We had a little box shop, didn't we?
No, we had a little cabin shop. On Bridgeway West to start with before the shop was built.
Yeah.
The few shops we had to walk to Castlefields.
Yeah. I remember this shop and the pub getting built as well. Just hanging around on it. There was an old house where the pub used to be, an old sandstone house. It's a bit like where the children's centre is as well. That used to be an old sandstone house, so I think
there's still a bit of it there.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I think it was they had to keep some of it, didn't they? So, yeah.
So the kids knew more than us, because obviously we were
but I don't remember
looking after them and feeding them and shopping for them and all the rest of it.
I just remember Runcorn, mate. That was 2 when I moved here, so this is all I remember really. Yeah. We'd go everywhere. I'd pedal my bike everywhere at the age of 10. There was no worries, was there?
You used to go to your nan's, didn't you?
Yeah, used to pedal to my nan's in Belvale.
Stephen.
Yeah. When we was about 10, 11, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't let a 10, 11-year-old do that these days, but it was a lovely, safe estate back in the day. So yeah, it's still a lovely estate now, do you know what I mean?
You used to pedal to Belvale,
Yeah. Belvale and back on the Saturdays.
So Belvale, that's like Netherley way.
Yeah, Netherley, down the Netherley Road, down the Tarbuck Road.
Yeah.
Always used to get punctured on the Tarbuck Road, so it was that farm road with all the thorns on there. Yeah. But yeah. It was good back in the day. Used to go swimming in the Resi and in the canal because it was cleaner back then. Do you know what I mean? We just in the summer we just generally hang around the Resi, swimming in the Resi and making a mock in the Resi, yeah.
Yeah, making a mock of everything.
Yeah.
We were all scattered.
All around the estate, everywhere. I went to Windmill Hill School, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen went to Park School, Mandy and David, they all went to Park School. And then later on they all went to Norton
Priory. We all went, didn't we? Yeah.
And they all used to, while we were out, they all used to slope in through the back.
Yeah.
And we never knew they were sagging, but they were.
Come home for dinner and just not go back to school for a bit. We didn't used to sag, we just used to go back
You did
late.
sag, didn't
Go
you?
back late, do you know what I
Go
mean?
back late, about 5
Yeah,
o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
was Norton Priory like then? Because that was a big school, wasn't
It was, I used to love
It
Norton
was a big
Priory, yeah.
school,
Yeah.
yeah.
My mum used to work in there as well, my mum was a
And
cleaner.
me.
And, oh yeah, yeah. My mum was a cleaner
We
and
were
a
dinner
dinner lady.
ladies. Yeah.
So yeah.
Dinner ladies. We loved it there.
So how old was you when you moved there then,
I
Sam?
was 32
Yeah.
and I'm 70 now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Was I
did you have all
32?
your kids when you moved there? Had you already had them all?
Yeah,
or-
well,
yeah.
Stephen was Paul's age.
She was one, wait, no, two, when he?
Two.
No, one he was, when he was
No,
two.
when I moved in, he was just
Oh yeah, his birthday's in
in the
February.
February,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was 2, yeah. So he was, well, 2 and 3 months, because we moved in the May.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I even remember the date, the 19th of May, 1980.
1980. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because David was 10 on the Saturday and we moved in on the Monday.
Oh, was it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So was that a big like wrench for you to move away from like Aylwood and that? Like, were you
Well, it was a phase. I mean, to be honest, I didn't like it for the first 10 years. Because basically, there was nothing here. My
That's what-
friends used to come up and say,
Shadows his neighbours.
that was the reason, not me. No. I mean, me and Val used to get out and play
Yeah, yeah.
around just with them and skipping with the girls, and we used to do all kinds with them, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when they had Charles and Diane wedding, and we done the big
Our big
table,
street party, yeah.
and my son went fishing. Everyone was dressed up, he had all his old raggy gear on, I'm going fishing.
Who's
And
that,
he went-
David or
oh,
Steve?
David.
No, David.
Yeah, I didn't want to enjoy
Yeah.
the street party. Before my husband died, we all used to sit in the front, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, well, the fellas would have a can, and the women would have a glass of wine or a cup of tea. It was tea, wasn't it?
Back in the day, we didn't used to knock on doors, but I still don't know. I just go in people's houses. Do you know what I mean? Like it is the good old days.
Yeah, he's cheeky,
Yeah, I just knock and go in. Hello, it's only me.
you know, and his mother was the best because she had parties for everything.
Yeah, yeah. Remember that loved the good old party?
And
didn't
we
you?
got the letter, well, your mum got the letter saying, if you don't stop the party, we're going to evict you.
No.
And tell your neighbour. And I never even come,
No way.
did I?
Yeah.
dear.
You threatened to evict you?
They must have, yeah, I don't remember
Too
these
many
things.
parties,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
over that. She used to have a party at the kids' birthdays,
Yeah, and
a
it's just a
party for
party.
Christmas, a party for Easter. Honestly,
Should be a party from 18th, I didn't even want one, I went out. I left her to a party on her own.
it's a party for...
There was a party for her basically, do you know what I mean? She invited all her mates around, like, Mum, we're going out, see you later. So, yeah.
She was funny.
I moved up here in 1968
Yeah.
and went back to Liverpool in 1970 and we moved back up in 1998, was it? No. Yeah. 1980, sorry,
Okay.
yeah. Things. And then it was being in Newtown, I had to get out because there's no places in Liverpool. So just being married, I got married in 1967. So we had a young baby, which is our Tracy, and so we moved up here in '68, and then I had a job on ASMO, which is part of conditioning work in a factory, and I didn't like factory work because I was being doing outside, so eventually went to the Crossville, which is in the old town, and then where the new pub is, and I got a job as a conductor there, so I was on that. I enjoyed that, but after a few years the wife got bored and said I want to go back to the family, so we moved back down to Liverpool. So I transferred from Runcorn Depot down to Liverpool Depot as conductor. And then I got my PSV, driving public service vehicles, driving that, buses, and then Croswell was taken over by the national bus company, it was national then. So it incorporated North West and the Ribble and Liverpool, where Croswell transferred back to Beechwood, which was the new depot then.
Yeah.
And I was on the busway then from 1980 to 1990, and then which was good, and it was good gang of lads, you know what I mean. It was getting privatised with Thatcher and that, and then I thought they changed the rules now. We used to do 8 hours and have a rest day, or if you worked over Saturday after 12 o'clock, you got time and a half. Sunday was double time all day. But when it got privatised, it was consolidated rate, so you're doing like 10-hour shifts and getting paid for 8, and so it was time to get out. And then I started suffering with health.
Yeah.
So after that, I went over to community transport, Thornton Community Transport. We got a job there as a volunteer at first, which incorporated Dara Ride. Anyway, I got a job in there, and I got divorced then. I went through a bad divorce. Anyway, I got a job at community in the office. I was assistant manager in there, and then I met my wife there, which she's from London. Not all bad, like. Anyway, Mum died suddenly, so we moved down to London to look after her dad. And like we had the trees and the little roundabouts and things like that, but no, I think it's the first how small the roads are. That was it, you know, little things like that. And but how the woods had developed and things, yeah. But it's always been Windmill Hill. I play it Thursday night when my wife calls it. Started the camera club, which is every fortnight on Windmill Hill, so like that. After these days, I like the miniature railway at the town park. This has been going nearly 40 years. And I was on that on and off. I've done about 20 years on that over the years.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that.
Introduce yourself
Bobby, Simon, Nikki Siffler.
and your sisters.
Yeah.
Okay, get that straight.
Yeah, definitely sisters.
And when did you actually move to Windmill Hill then?
40 years ago in September.
Yeah.
It's because I moved up the year I was 12 to start school at Norton Priory.
Yeah, I was 10.
Yeah. So it'll be 40
And where did you
years.
move from?
Newport, South
South
Wales.
Wales.
So we'd never even heard of Runcorn
Yeah.
until we came home from school one day.
And we said, oh, we're moving. And we said, where? So they said, where in Wales? She said, oh no, we're not moving in Wales. Like, well, where are we moving to?
Runcorn.
She said, Runcorn.
Whoa, where? Where's Runcorn? So that was Liverpool, between Liverpool and Manchester, that's all we knew about Runcorn.
That's about
Didn't have a
right.
clue, yeah.
But
No idea, so we knew nobody when we came
was
up.
that because your dad moved up here with his job or something like that, was it? Or?
Yeah, he moved up.
What happened was my auntie and her husband moved up and he worked for Bass Charrington. And my dad had lost his job in Newport and was looking for a new job. And my uncle said he could get him into Bass Charrington, just take any job to get up here. Brand new houses, never been lived in, because it was the Runcorn Development Corporation then. So that's how it kind of started. So my dad, when we first moved up here, worked for British Nuclear Fuels at Capenhurst.
He worked there for years.
Yeah, he
didn't
did. He never got into Baths. That never materialised.
Alright, so we never actually worked at Baths then?
No.
No, I think it was just a ploy to get us up here.
Right.
Because she was the only one living up here at
Yeah.
the time, wasn't she? She
Yeah.
was
So that's my
everybody else
mum's
still lived in
sister.
Wales.
My mum cried
6 months.
for 6 months solid.
6 months.
And my dad kept saying, give it another month and if you're still unhappy we'll move back. 40 years later we're all still here. So, but she got used to it in the end, didn't she? It was all...
Yeah, she didn't know anybody, did she?
No.
That was it. And there was no Well, there was Auntie Kath, but she didn't really see her that often, did she?
No.
So she didn't have any friends. But then she made friends with the lady that lived next door to us on Bridgeway, because we lived on Bridgeway West first. And then my auntie lived on Lockgate, and then she bought her own house.
And we moved
into Lockgate then, into the one that she had next to the show house.
Because the garden faced the right way for my mum, because at those days she loved the sun, and because it was south facing, so she wanted that house, so we moved in, and it was the show house there, we lived next door to the show house.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I started school at St Chad's. You went to St Augustine's, didn't you?
Yeah.
But that was
I
when
went to Windmill Hill first.
that was when the Norton Priory school was still there, and the recreation centre was still there, and it was completely different then.
We lived in that recreation centre.
Yeah.
So there was a lot for you to do, was it, at that age? Yeah.
Yeah.
Loads
Yeah.
to do.
We did gymnastics, swimming, all sorts,
Trampolining.
trampolining,
Netball,
and now there's
all sorts.
now it's worse now than it was then, because
It's not even a swimming pool.
No, it's not now.
There's nowhere even to go swimming. Because they used to go there in the summer. We used to go every day, and if you didn't get there early enough, you had to queue right round the back of the rec and wait to get in. So we always used to make sure we got there for opening, didn't we? So we could get
the
first
pool.
in. There was always a queue. When you come out, there was always a queue.
I mean, I can still pick up a bit of Welsh accent in your
Every
voices.
now and again.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
so was it strange coming here from Wales, because obviously
Yes.
most of the people are from Liverpool, like, so was that a bit of a strange experience for you?
Yeah, because we couldn't
It's like
understand
another
what they were
language.
saying.
It was like they called trousers pants, but pants for us were
And underwear.
knickers,
Yeah.
underwear. So somebody was talking about
They
didn't want pants on, so they. Oh, I think what is no underwear on.
Yeah, so it was strange. And plus, you couldn't hardly understand what they were saying.
And I don't think they could really understand us at the time either. So we did get teased a lot. Did get a lot of teasing about the way we spoke.
They used to ask us to say certain words,
Yeah.
and obviously with us being Welsh, it was totally different to the way they say it. So they'd get us to say this and this and again.
Just say this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to love it. And we used to go over to where the big pond is, and between Castlefields and that. I used to walk all the way along the canal. That was nice. Because we weren't used to anything like that. We'd never had
No, we lived in a
trees. We lived in a built-up city, so to come somewhere like this where there was trees and
Because you think Wales are all rural, don't you? But Newport's
it's not.
quite
Newport's
urbanised.
well,
isn't
that's
it?
it. It's a big.
It was the docks. That's what it was very known for. It's docks all over.
So for us, it was, you know, if there was, you'd see the odd tree, but nothing like this.
There was no greenery, wasn't there?
No.
It was all brick.
No, so it was like we moved to the country, even though it's not, because there was just so much to do. We lived in Norton Priory. Used to go over to Norton Priory a lot as well. I've lived over here on and off for the past. I think I've lived on Bridgeway, I've lived on Lockgate, I've lived on Stoneleigh, I've lived on Westwood, I'm now on Eastwood. So I've kind of dotted myself around over the years. It has become more rough and ready kind of thing. When we first moved up here, it was everybody's house was immaculate. There was no rubbish anywhere. Like now you can drive up the road and there'll be piles of rubbish next to the roadside and things like that. There was nothing like that. It was amazing when we first moved up, but I like it here. Because I've lived over here on and off, and this time I actually requested Windmill Hill. I didn't put anywhere else down because I knew I wanted to be over here, and I've never had any problems with anybody. Never had anything
We didn't
bad.
even any other children.
Even my mum used to go out in the morning and not come back till it was getting dark, and we never had any problems with anybody.
Trouble with anybody or anything. You could walk around the estate and
Nobody wary, because it was woods and fields, and I think she used to worry when we used to go out, and if we weren't back on time, she'd be out looking for us. But for us, it was brilliant.
And canals, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, it was brilliant growing up here,
We
because
used to go in the woods
and the
climb
bus
the trees and dangle out of them.
and the
head
busway,
down and-
that was amazing.
Oh yeah.
To have a bus that had its own road, because obviously Newport, the buses are
On the roads with the cars.
and they were mostly double deckers. We'd never really seen single decker buses. They were like the big double deckers, so to come up here and see little buses that went on their own road, we used to like write letters back to friends and say, the bus has got its own road and you can't go on it.
Yeah.
So it was completely different. It was a big culture shock, really, wasn't it? It was something that we'd never encountered. But it was good. It was good growing up here.
It was good growing up here.
Yeah.
It was.
I was born in Liverpool 8, and then when all the when they were moving everyone out of like slum areas and rundown areas, we all got moved out. Some went to Halewood, some went to Speak, some went to Kirby. We went to Halewood. I lived in Halewood till I got married when I was 19. And then I moved up to Thornton. I moved back to Halewood, and then I came here in 1979 to Windmill Hill. Don't forget, I'd lived in like urban areas.
Yeah.
So there was green space. I'm not saying there wasn't green space, but not green space like here. And there was a housing shortage, just like now. And I wanted a better future for my kids. I didn't want them growing up in all urban areas. And you probably won't remember, but in the 80s, all round Liverpool was going into real social decline. And so antisocial behaviour was going up. Poverty, it's a bit like today, really, in all honesty. And because my husband worked in Fords, he was known as like a key worker. Yeah. And my sister-in-law, she lived on Brookvale. She told me about Windmill Hill. She had they're opening a new estate. So I came up to Runcorn, had a look, loved it. I thought, this is amazing for kids.
What did you think about your house on Windmill Hill?
I went to the show house, because they had the show house. And I went to the show house, and I just looked at, because I was in a masonette, I was in a flat. I looked at this show house and thought, yeah, I want one of these. But because I'd never lived in a house before. I'd always lived in flats since the day I was born. I'd never lived in a house. My grandparents lived in flats. It felt really strange. That was my experience of housing here. But I went home and I told my mum and dad. And my dad worked on the railway, and he was based on the Ditton line.
Right.
And so my mum said, I'll come and have a look. So she come and had a look, and she said, oh yeah, it's lovely. So they put it. So we both put it in together. My mum moved on the Sunday, and I moved on the Monday. And my kids were only 2 and 3 then.
Yeah.
And they just loved it. It was just the peacefulness of it. But now, I think now, it seems like nature's encroached.
Yeah.
I think they put trees in willy-nilly all over the place. They were only little saplings when we came. Now they're full-grown trees.
Yeah.
When we came, I mean, if you look at the brochures in the library of Windmill Hill, when they were advertising the estate, you know, if you look at them, although there's loads of green space, it looks like there's more space, physical space. But now, I think it's a bit too overgrown, especially down the paths.
Yeah.
And it was just things like the woodland. I used to go down to the farm by Manor Park,
Yeah.
because that was all fields, wasn't it? There was no Sandymore, no Norton. You could walk for miles and miles. And I used to go for walks with the kids and go to the farm and get all my veg and and eggs and walk all the way back. And it was just lovely summer days, I remember. And everyone was helping each other as they were moving in, because everyone was new and they were coming from everywhere. I got a friend over the road, she came from Scotland. And so everybody had young children, mainly had young children. So all the kids played together, they'd all made friends, and they're still all friends. And now it's weird because now I see them with their own kids now.
Yeah.
So when did you actually move to Windmill Hill?
About 89.
80?
Just as LHC took over from the DevCo. They really, when we moved on here, because we used to live on Southgate before that, the transition hadn't actually taken place. So when you wanted a new property, because we were offered to stay on Southgate, but we'd have all the dirt and everything from the demolition and the rebuild, which we didn't fancy, so we put in for a move. And we had to apply to the DevCo for a move, and then they put us on to LHT. They give us this place up on Stoneleigh. And the wife came over, she liked the look of it, she said, yeah, okay, as long as we can get it decorated properly. So we went back to the DevCo, who were responsible for giving out decorating grants and stuff like that. And I said, what's the decorating grant? And he said, oh, 50 quid. I said, you can stick that off your backside. I said, that won't even cover putting paint on the living room. I said, every room in the house needs to be redecorated completely, and the hall and everything. So eventually got them up to 250 quid. And then we came over, and then LHC, I think, put a flyer around asking for people to go onto their committee. So the wife turned around to me and she said, well, go on. She said, you've done enough shouting on Southgate. Try and stop the same thing happening again. So I did. I joined what they call the steering group, which laid out what we wanted and what LHC wanted and how to go about getting things done, which later became the district committee. And to be on that, you'd have to be a member of the local residents association.
So what area did the district committee cover?
The district committee covered all of Runcorn, all of LHC's properties,
Oh, yeah.
only LHC.
Yeah.
YPHA and people like that, they had their own versions of the same thing, but they were all independent. So we covered Windmill Hill had 4 members, Murdershaw had 4 members, and Castlefields had 4 members, which went onto the district committee. We met once a month, discussed what we wanted, voted on things. I mean, at one time I was doing nearly 70 hours a week, unpaid work, because we were down at LHC's offices virtually every day for 5 and 6 hours, training sessions on tenant law and all the rest of it, you know, evictions. I mean, the district committee even had a say on evictions. you know,
Wow.
once a month they come to a meeting, and one member from each of the areas would go in, and we'd be shown the case without any names or addresses or anything like that. It was just household, single female, 3 kiddies, this much in arrears. Do we go for an eviction or don't we? You know, and if we decided that there shouldn't be eviction progressed, it didn't get progressed, and they had to go out and try and get her to pay something off the arrears, for argument's community workers, which was all right. And like I said, we realised that a lot of people on the estate were moving around the estate, but they were on benefits, and they couldn't afford £200, £250 for a removal van. So we said, well, we got our heads together and decided we could buy a van and use volunteers to staff it. And that'd help people, which we did. And from the van it progressed, and people started coming in and saying, you know, they were going to a funeral or a wedding or a birthday party. I said, oh, perhaps we get a minibus. So we did. In fact, we had 2 minibuses, didn't we? We started off with the transit crew bus, which wasn't very good really, because we only had seats down either side. And then we moved from there and we got a Renault Traffic with 14 seats in it. And the seats were removable, so we could also, if necessary, remove a couple of seats to put a wheelchair in. And myself and another lad, we went to Manchester on a training course for driving a minibus with disabled passengers, and you know what to do in the event of an accident or fire or something like that, and how to go about getting disabled people out. We both passed that course. It was very good.
And was that popular on the estate, was it?
The minibus was quite popular. It was, I mean, at one time it was out 5 nights a week, because I'd be driving it 3 of them 5 nights. And I knew other people that had. I mean,
so was it just a subsidised cost, was it? Like, so you'd pay X amount
it was
per
just
mile
cost.
or something? Yeah.
It was just cost based. You know, it wasn't £40 to go to Manchester Airport. We'd worked it out, and I think it was between 30 and 35p a mile was what we charged. And that's all you got charged. That was the running cost. That was insurance, road tax, MOT and fuel. And a few replacement parts, you know, and that was divided out. When we started the food co-op up, at one time I think we had about 100 customers on the estate. Most of them pensioners, a couple of families. There's one particular family, I mean, she was spending £35 a week at our prices, you know.
So where did you get your food from for that? Was it donations or?
No, we went down to the fruit and veg market in Liverpool. Right. Myself, Charlie, my wife, we'd be up 3:30.
Down the motorway.
Believing this estate at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
To get down to the fruit and veg market at opening at 4 o'clock. And then we'd go round and we'd pick. We knew what we wanted, you know, because everyone had to fill up an order form in, and we collated all that down to get a bulk order. And we'd go and get the spuds from one particular fella, most of the fruit from another one, other fruit and veg from yet another. So we had 3 or 4 different suppliers at the wholesale market. And then we bring it back to the kiddie centre as it is now. and we had that was getting open for us at what, 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And we'd take all the bulk order in there, into the main hall, and we'd set a couple of sets of scales up, and then we'd break everybody's order down.
So that was just entirely voluntary, was it? Like,
yeah. 50% of the people would come and pick their orders up from the play centre and pay for them. You only paid for them when you picked your order up. You didn't pay in advance. And 30 or 40% we'd actually deliver to the doors, especially for the pensioners.
I've lived on Windmill Hill since October 83 we moved, and in January 84 we started through social services a voluntary community daycare centre. Originally we had it up at the Windmill Hill Primary School, but that didn't work out very well, so it was Devco at the time offered us this place that we could use. So we used to run it.
So these photos are actually from inside this building, are they?
Yeah.
So Priory View House, yeah?
Yeah. We actually did 2 days a week voluntary. They were brought in by volunteer drivers. And
this was for old people, was it?
Yeah. For socially isolated, they
Yeah.
were classed as.
Yeah.
So they got picked up from their home, brought here, and spent a few hours with us having a hot dinner and pudding, and then just little chats and whatever. And then the drivers took them back home between 3 and 4. But we had a lot of people come through. There was about 4 volunteers that came in, but as I say, we were governed by social services, community daycare centres, and it worked out very well actually, and the clients used to really enjoy it. We used to take them out on day trips.
So some of these pictures are like coach trips, aren't they?
Yeah.
So some of these
Yeah.
are coach trips, yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Christmas
did you go?
party.
Like,
We went to Blackpool, Southport, quite local places,
Yeah.
but we were gone for the day.
yeah.
With a meal provided. Yeah, I mean some of them are still here because Mary Baines is still on a couple of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
So how long was it? So you had Christmas parties as well. Some of these are Christmas parties, aren't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah, we had Christmas parties.
yeah. That's a Christmas one, isn't it? So that's a
Yeah.
room done out. That's this room, is it? Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
far
the other room,
the
yeah.
far room, yeah.
Yeah.
All done out in Christmas tablecloths, and
Mm.
yeah, it was really good. We really enjoyed it, and some of the tales they used to tell us because they'd been through the war and
Yeah.
you know, and that, and you know, it was really interesting sitting listening to them. June 83, and I lived on Castlefields. Well, originally I lived with my sister in Rock Ferry with my husband and my son, and we put down for a place here in Runcorn because my brother lives on Castlefields, and he was looking after my dad because we'd just lost my mum 12 months before. And I said if I moved up to Runcorn, we could take it in turns of looking after my dad,
Yeah.
rather than, because we wouldn't have put her in a home although he had Parkinson's disease quite badly. We didn't want to isolate him in a home. So my brother used to have him for 2 weeks, and then we'd have him for 2 weeks. So it's like a shared, you know, responsibility, if you like. Yeah, so he lived about 5 years after we got back. And we got this place on Windmill Hill, close to my brother. Because as I say, he's only on the next estate over. Yeah, so we've been here ever since. But since then, I'm on my own now because I lost my husband 7 years ago. But I still wouldn't move from here. I find it so... I always feel safe walking home.
Right, my name's Michael Burrows. I came onto the Windmill estate in June 2000. I moved up from London SE2, Abbey Wood. Reason we came to the area is because when I was in the army, we were stationed at Chester, right? So I had friends in the area who were in the army with me, and I said, well, could you look for something up here? And they obviously found Windmill Hill. We came up to look at the bungalow. In fact, we looked at bungalows there on Windmill Hill and in Castlefields, but we selected the one in Abbey Wood, in Windmill Hill. Woodridge is where we were. Following year, I was looking for, because I was retired. I'd be retired from my own cleaning upholstery cleaning company. We used to do Scotch Guard for a lot of the local furniture stores around us in South East London. So we retired up here, and I was looking for something to do. Saw that the telematics, which was in the children's centre, was doing computer courses, so I signed up for a couple of those and got talking to Nick, who ran the telematics centre, and I decided I would volunteer. It was for the Windmill Hill Community Forum, so I was a volunteer there. We used to go in virtually every other day just to help out with the students and things like that, and to do any paperwork that cropped up. It was started by the forum as somewhere where residents could go to get computer training, and mainly for elderly people who, because there was a dearth of any sort of course specifically within the area. So it took off and became very successful. And the only full-time employer was Nick, who was the telematics manager. He was employed full-time on pension as well. He was a very, very good instructor, and you know, people came back and were doing course after course. He started introducing new courses as time went on. So we had about 15 to 20 courses which were regularly produced. So we go from beginning to the next stage, and then we'd introduce them to other aspects of the computer. So there were courses where people could progress over 3 or 4 years. Some students were with us for about 5 or 6 years, because introducing new courses, social media, you know, learning how to go onto Facebook, in getting grants to renew the computer stock. So we were updating the stock, and then what we did with that, the extra stock, was we loaned out computers to people who didn't have or couldn't afford a computer. So we were sort of bringing up the knowledge of the students, but also giving them access to computers so that they could start studies and carry on. Treasurer of the Senior Citizens Club, known as the Wednesday Club. That's for over 50s who meet to play bingo basically, but it's a social gathering. Also involved with the Tuesday Drop-In Club. I'm treasurer there as well, and also for Friday bingo, which I've been involved with for about 14 years now, and I've taken out as treasurer of that. So basically I'm still involved in the 3 clubs, Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday clubs, although I now live on Castlefields. I moved to Castlefields in April 2016, but we still come back every week, for the clubs, because we built up a social network, and which we find is excellent. And that's one of the good things about Windmill Hill is the fact that it's open. Well, it's not open. It's like living in a village in the country.
Lived on Windmill Hill, Jackie?
40 years, can't believe it. Yeah. But yeah, 40 years.
So 40 years, you must have been one of the first people on the estate, then, were you?
I was, yes. I think where I moved in, I live on Bridgeway West, and where I live, I think probably there was about half a dozen people down there. And I think they'd let some houses down here on Lockgate West. But yes, definitely one of the first.
Yeah. And what was that like, moving onto the estate when there was hardly anyone here?
Well, to be honest, when I came to view the house, I loved it. I thought it was, the actual style of the house. But it took me so long to get used to living here. I was a real townie, I think that's what it was. And I just felt as though I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, to be honest.
And where did you live before?
I lived in Liverpool. Yeah, I lived in a few places, but from Liverpool. And lived there just before we moved here. Moved up because my husband at the time got a job unexpectedly in Runcorn. And so it was a pretty quick move, really. But yes, I found it difficult. And I kept sort of scooting back to Liverpool as much as I could. So to be honest, I didn't really get involved with the goings on the estate, for a long time.
Yeah. Well, what was it that made it difficult for you? Was it just the kind of rural atmosphere, or?
I think, yeah, I didn't really, I love it now. I love the nature, the woods, and but I was only young then, and I didn't really, to be honest, appreciate, as I say, I was a townie, I was a city girl, so I missed all the hustle and bustle, and to me there was nothing here. I just felt as though I'd been plonked in the middle of nowhere, really. I'd never really lived anywhere like this. So it just took me a long time, to adjust to it. Months ago, I have started to, become involved. I got in touch with Dan, originally at the Big Local, up at the church, because to be honest, I thought there might have been some volunteering I could do. That's what I was looking for, really. But then he explained to me about Big Local. So since then, I've been going to most of the Big Local meetings, you know, getting involved in little ways. And I go to the church meal every month, which is nice because I've got to know people, you know. And I never really knew many people because it always worked. So yes, it's nice. And then of course Priory View, I love it. I love popping in here, and everybody's so friendly. It's really nice to pop in.
You got involved with the photography, didn't you, as well?
Yes, with Margaret. That came from Women of Windmill.
Yeah.
Met Irene and got involved with that, and we did a photography project with the Open Eye Gallery in Liverpool, and then from there Snappers came into being. Margaret, it was Margaret really, she says the two of us, but to be honest it was Margaret that does all the work. Decided it'd be nice to carry on doing some photography, and so that's how Snappers came about.
So do you feel like you're more kind of involved in what's going on the estate?
Oh,
Or
definitely,
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's nice now, it's home. You know, it's home, and I'm happy to be involved. I do want to be involved. Yeah. So.
That's great.
Yeah, so I enjoy living here.
Good.
Took me a long time, but yeah.
You finally got used to it.
Got used to it,
After
yeah.
40 years, yeah.
And I'm Marie Tynan.
And obviously you're married, yeah?
Yes.
And you've lived on Windmill Hill for how long?
6 years on July 18th, is it?
Oh.
I think it's around that, yeah. So 6 years. But we both lived here when we were younger as well.
Did you, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't know, I loved it when I lived here. I lived on Canal Reach. So we were right near the canal. So we were the bit where like the woods are, right next to the canal. So we used to build dens there all the time. And then the woods just behind the canal, we used to always go in there every day, taking the dog for a walk. And then obviously you've got the lane where the horses are. So we were always up to mischief, causing trouble that we weren't meant to be doing. And then massive games of manhunt all over the whole of Windmill Hill. So it's not the same no more. I don't know, there isn't the same kind of spirit. But it's still fun. Like it's a lot quieter than any other area in Runcorn. It's definitely, I think it's better for the kids as well.
Yeah. Got 2 kids, yeah?
Yeah, David and Eli. Hyperactive and Devil.
No, yeah, well, which one's which? So, yeah, no, there's me and John, and then we've got David, who's now almost 10, almost in double figures, and then we have Eli, he's 4, finishing nursery and going up in school in September. David is very much like me in terms of he's stubborn and everything, but he takes after his dad so much. He's dead inquisitive, wants involved in as much as he possibly can, loves cooking, loves technology. And then Eli's the other way around, a lot like John, but takes after me. What he wants to be right there, just being there, helping with everything and stuff. But Eli has suspected ADHD, and this community's fab with him. Absolutely amazing. They've all accepted him. There's no, oh, there goes that child. They're all like, okay, let's have fun, what can we do? And the children's centre's fab, the church, even Chi, have been great in allowing him to be part of things. None of them are excluded. David's getting more involved with the community.
So they go like local schools? Yeah.
Yeah, David goes to Windmill Hill. Eli was in Windmill Hill Primary, and he's nursery, and he's going up to the primary school in September.
Tell me about some of the things you've been involved in, like the Gaming Underground and Pixels.
Well, Adult Gaming Underground is it's an online community that we're part of. So it's for adults only who enjoy gaming. Any type of gamer that you are, so it doesn't matter whether you're good or bad. Just come in and play. Always someone to play with. We play a diverse range of games, but we found it as we've been playing Minecraft. Yes, the kids' game Minecraft. We played it for years. We ran a server, didn't we? How long did we run that for?
6 years on and off.
Yeah, 6 years on and off we run that for, and then we found it, and it is one of the best communities that we've ever been part of. Online, there's no messing around. but we use that as our basis for everything. So obviously John and Tanya came up with the idea of making Pixel Perfect.
Do you want to explain what Pixel Perfect is?
Yeah, so Pixel Perfect is basically a photography group slash tutoring.
And digital media.
And digital media. So we run photo shoots for the local community, just basically free photos. You can get them printed or digitally sent for free. Sorry, the printed does come out a little bit of a cost, but it's only time
to cover your ink and
the classes start in September, and that'll be basically teaching you from a very beginner to more advanced techniques like editing photos and even film effects in your photos. So for one of the photo shoots we did a Star Wars shoot. Kids had toy lightsabers, using digital editing we managed to make those lightsabers realistic, so the kids got to look like they were holding a real lightsaber.
A real lightsaber, like they really exist.
So can you imagine if we actually gave them a real lightsaber though?
Yeah.
God knows what would have came out of that.
I think she would have been destroyed because we held it.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
But no, it's going to be entertaining as well as informative.
So really, it's like trying to get affordable photographs for the local community.
Well, yeah,
instead of like renting a studio that could cost you like
every family deserves. Our motto is every family deserves to have a top-notch quality photo in their house. It's not our fault if we can't afford £200-300 to get that done. So we provide free photo shoots so they can get them. We can, like John said, we can send them for free so they can print them out wherever they want on whatever they want, or we can provide prints cheap for them. But also as well, doing the classes, it's to teach families to be able to do it themselves as well, because you don't always want to have to hire somebody else to take those pictures. But if they were going to live in Runcorn, yes, Windmill Hill probably would be where, or not too far from here. We'd want them local to here, because not only is it where they've grown up, but we're trying to build up the community for them.
It's safe as well.
Yeah,
it's a nice safe area.
Yeah.
So, and we'd like them to be able to have their kids eventually here, and to see them growing up in the area that not necessarily that we built, but we helped make, in a sense we had a part of, and be able to say to the kids, you keep that going, keep it going, that's a good thing you've got going, keep it going.